Thankfully, a few years ago, things shifted for me because I heard this gentleman speak, Dr. Muhammad Yunus. I know many in the room probably know exactly who he is, but to give the shorthand version, for any who have not heard him speak, Dr. Yunus won the Nobel Peace Prize a few years ago for his work pioneering modern microfinance. This was, when I heard him speak, it was 3 years before that. But basically, microfinance, this is new to you as well, think of that as financial services and products for the poor. Think of all the things you get at your bank and imagine those products and services tailored to the needs of someone living on a few dollars a day. Dr. Yunus shared his story explaining what that was and what he had done with his Grameen Bank. He also talked about, in particular, micro-lending, which is a tiny loan that could help someone start or grow a business. Now, when I heard him speak, it was exciting for a number of reasons. First and foremost, I learned about this new method of change in the world that, for once, showed me maybe a way to interact with someone and to give, to share of a resource in a way that wasn't weird and didn't make me feel bad. That was exciting. But more importantly, he told stories about the poor that were different than any stories I had heard before. In fact, those individuals he talked about where poor was sort of a side note. He was talking about strong, smart, hardworking entrepreneurs who woke up every day and were doing things to make their lives and their families' lives better. All they needed to do that more quickly and to do it better was a little bit of capital. It was an amazing sort of insight for me, and I, in fact, was so deeply moved by this. It's hard to express now how much that affected me, but I was so moved that I actually quit my job a few weeks later, and I moved to East Africa to try to see for myself what this was about. For the first time, actually, in a long time, I wanted to meet those individuals. I wanted to meet these entrepreneurs and see for myself what their lives were actually about. So I spent 3 months in Kenya and Uganda and Tanzania interviewing entrepreneurs that had received $100 to start or grow a business. And in fact, through those interactions, the first time I was starting to get to be friends with some of those people in that big amorphous group out there that was supposed to be far away. I was starting to be friends and get to know their personal stories. And over again, as I interviewed them and spent my days with them, I did hear stories of life change and amazing little details of change. So I would hear from goat herders who had used that money that they had received to buy a few more goats, change, their business trajectory would change, they would make a little bit more money, the standard of living would shift and would get better, and they would make really interesting little adjustments in their lives, like they would start to send their children to school, they might be able to buy mosquito nets, maybe they could afford a lock for the door and feel secure. Maybe it was just that they could put sugar in their tea and offer that to me when I came as their guest, and that made them feel proud. But there were these beautiful details, even if I'd talked to 20 goat herders in a row, and some days that's what happened, but these beautiful details of life change that were meaningful to them. That was another thing that really touched me. It was very humbling to see for the first time, to really understand that even if I could have taken a magic wand and fixed everything, I probably would have gotten a lot wrong, because the best way for people to change their lives is for them to have control and to do that in the way that they believe is best for them. So I saw that, and it was very humbling.